Welcome in, Buff Nation, to another edition of Shoulder to Shoulder Colorado Live on the Voice of College Football Network. I am your host, Miles, aka at Miles High Buffs. Happy Friday. Thank you all for tuning in on this beautiful Friday here in Denver, Colorado, or wherever else you are tuning in from. As a reminder, if you're not catching today's show live, you can catch it on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Believe, really anywhere that you're getting your podcast nowadays. And then as a friendly reminder, we always have memberships available as well as super chats if you want to support some of the work that we do on this show. And as a last reminder, be sure to check out the Voice of College Football Colorado store, which will be linked on our page on Twitter and on Facebook. Happy Friday. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We got some fun topics to cover today. I got some stuff to recap that, we've kind of been skipping over the last couple of weeks. Coach Trey, good to see you. Happy Friday. And then I want to do a fun little topic. I've been saving this one for, the kind of downturn in the off season in between spring ball and fall camp. But we're going to take a look at some of the former Buffs in history, some of the studs in Colorado football history, and kind of look at what would they earn in an NIL market like today. So I think that's going to be a really fun one. I pulled some numbers. I pulled some names. I want to hear from you guys. If you are tuning in, I would love to hear what you think some of the former Buff greats would earn in terms of an NIL market. So we will be sure to get into that. But first things first, let's just jump right in, right? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm back to sharing my screen as opposed to putting up a little screenshot here. But let me go ahead and get our first topic of the day out of the way. Let's talk about Big 12. Let's talk about betting odds. Let me go ahead and zoom in here on this. So this comes in from PFSN College. This is the current odds to win the Big 12 per FanDuel Sportsbook. Leading the way for the Big 12, they've got Texas Tech, followed by Utah, BYU, Houston, TCU, Baylor, a bunch of other names. And at the very bottom down there, plus 10,000, you got Colorado. Now, here's the thing. I know this is a Colorado show. I know I've self-proclaimed myself to be a Colorado homer for years now. But last is crazy. Behind Iowa State, who just had their entire roster gutted and lost their head coach, crazy. Behind UCF, Cincinnati, here's my thing. I have tried to stay away from the betting market as much as I can. Last year's season really burned a hole in my pocket, we'll say. But 10,000, man, that's too good to pass up. I might even throw a nice little $100 down on that thing. 10,000? You think we're going to be last with that? You think we're going to be that far down? That's crazy. Texas Tech at the top, that's understandable. Utah, I could see, I feel like Utah is a little bit over. Yes, they are getting their quarterback back, but losing your head coach, I feel like, is not a small situation, as well as some of the offensive line and some of the guys that they're losing there, their tackles. I think that's a lot to say that they're going to be, number 2 in the Big 12. As New Breed, let me throw the chat up. I'm making a note here. We're putting the chat up moving forward on this show because I want you guys to be a part. This is the voice of college football. I want you guys to be the voice. I'm obviously the one that you're hearing, but I want you guys to be involved in this discussion. I want to hear your voice in terms of being the Colorado faithful. I would say BYU, that's probably pretty fair. Houston, well, that's a little rich. Some of the other names, Arizona State, really low. I feel like that's crazy. UCF, I feel like could have a good year. Kansas, I just feel like Colorado at plus 10,000 is nuts. Let's look at some of the comments here. We got Coach Trey saying that's crazy, but the last time that we were 1-1 away from the championship game, so I'm glad they don't believe it. Exactly. If you're feeling like the Buffs are being a little bit undervalued here, make them pay for it, right? Plus 10,000, that's a crazy line. Harold Mitchell says, dude, I'm on my way to Lake Tahoe ASAP to put down money on Colorado this year. Exactly. Yeah. Make them change that line because I just think that's crazy. I know that here's the thing, and here's part of it too. And again, this is not a betting show. I'm not a betting guy. But plus 10,000, if they win 5 or 6 games, early in the season, that's going to then your $100 will turn into $3, $4, $800 as they give you that early cash out. So even if it's not win the Big 12 type season, even if it's like we're getting to the 3 seed or up there at the top, you'll still make a return on investment if you at least put the money in and make them kind of reconsider that. But either way, as Rob says, hit that like button. Happy Friday. Thank you guys for all being here and tuning in. I just wanted to show that first and foremost because I think it's ridiculous. And I think they're going to go back and have to adjust that line because plus 10,000, you know what that plus 10,000 means in this world? Plus 10,000 means there's not a shot in eternity for them to be able to win the Big 12. And I would say they got a better shot than that. I don't know. That's crazy to me. All right, moving on down the list. Let's switch gears. Let's talk. But New Breed's calling it out. Buffs Big 12 champs. Saying it here first. You heard it here first. When we beat Baylor, that's when it will change. Exactly. Yeah. When we get off to that hot start, that's when the numbers will start. They'll start panicking a little bit. Cool. Let's change gears here. I want to talk about this. Came out from our good friend Scott Proctor of DNVR. Just a quick little video of Juju Lewis and Cam Perry getting some work together during the spring break. If you guys remember some of the issues we had with players during the breaks last year, it's just so good to see our guys locked in. I think Juju to Cam Perry is going to be. I'm really high on this duo. I think that this could be a top 10 duo in college football next year. I really do. I think Juju to Cam Perry could be just an elite duo. Cam Perry probably, in my eyes, would be one of, if not our top receivers. And Juju, I think, is poised for a really great season. So with all the speculation around Isaac Wilson and the QB competition and all that stuff, shout out Darius and the Reach the People for the whole video. I just put it up because it's on Twitter. So it's the quickest thing I could get to. But yeah, go check out the whole video, watch them working together, hear how they talk. It's clear that Juju is seen as the guy in terms of the QB room. And it's great to see him and Cam getting some work in, during the down period. Moving on down the list, let's talk about this. This came out a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to make sure we addressed it because there's been a lot going on, and I do apologize that we haven't covered everything in totality. However, shout out former Colorado Buffalo linebacker Levonta Bentley, part of the Bentley and Nakai law firm, or Bentley Hill Green law firm. Loved that linebacker duo. Just a perfect little pairing there in the middle. Didn't end up getting drafted, didn't make an NFL roster, has been kind of working behind the scenes. I did see he's been doing some camps, trying to educate the youth and get out there and make an imprint in his local communities, which is super cool. But now he's made the final 50-man roster for the St. Louis Battlehawks. So that strong camp performance, as it notes there, will help him make that impact into the 2026 season. So definitely something to keep up on. I'm excited for Levonta, great guy. I'm excited for him in that next opportunity. Cool. This is more college football at large. I wanted to just touch on it. So this comes in from Matt Zenitz. Another rule change approved today by the NCAA FBS Oversight Committee. So fair catch kick. I'm just going to read this word for word. Under another rule approved Thursday by the Oversight Committee, a team can choose to attempt a kick after a completed or awarded fair catch. The kick will be a field goal place kick with a holder, no tee, or a drop kick from the spot where the returner caught the ball. If the ensuing kick goes through the uprights, it will add 3 points to that team's total. The defense is required to be 10 yards from the spot of the kick. So I don't know how you guys feel about this. I think this is really interesting. Kind of de-incentivizing fair catches. I know the NFL has tried a lot with their kickoff rules and just ways to get more returns and player safety and all that stuff. But this is really interesting, right? So it kind of taking away the value of playing it safe and having a fair catch. So trying to incentivize more teams to want to bring the ball out, more exciting. And I would just be really interested to see like how this affects like late game situations. I think that'd be really interesting. Teams are kind of just going to be in that situation where they don't want to give up a field goal and have the team be able to take it if they choose to go for a fair kick or a fair catch. But like, I don't know. It's very interesting. I just want to touch on it. It's more of, again, a college football at large concept, but just kind of an interesting little tidbit to keep an eye on, to keep an eye on. Let's move to the next one. This one was a big topic that came up recently. So new Tennessee quarterback, former Buffs quarterback, Ryan Staub, said he's already noticing a difference playing for the Volunteers. So the quote, a little bit clipped, I'm not going to lie to you, said something to the effect of, in my 3 years of playing college football, I haven't had as much coaching as I've had in the first month that I've been here. So a couple of things. There's a lot of reactions to this. And it's very clear to me that people don't realize that you're supposed to say good things about the university that you transfer to. I think the phrasing of it was a little bit weird. And sometimes everybody's been caught in those situations where you phrase something in a way and it comes out a little bit wrong. In my heart of hearts, I do not believe that Ryan Staub went to Tennessee to go shit on Coach Prime. That's not what I think he meant to do. I think he's more acknowledging how much training and education that he's gotten in a short time period at Tennessee. It comes out as, I've gotten more here in this last week than the last 3 years. But it doesn't mean that in the last 3 years he got none. It just means that he happens to get a lot in this time period. Another component of this too that I think people are overlooking, they're evaluating Ryan Staub for their starting quarterback position. Ryan Staub in his 3 years at Boulder was known as a backup. Like, yes, he had opportunities and was given chances and was always a part of the conversation, but he was never going to be given the development and the focus that Shedeur was going to be given, or that Julian and Caden were going to be given. Because he was never fully in that realm of being the potential starting quarterback on day one. Now at Tennessee, he's actually in consideration for being their starting quarterback. So yes, they're going to put more development into him. They're going to put more focus into him, more coaching. That is an expected behavior. Plus, this is just media training. This is just a guy that went to a new school who's being complimentary of the staff that he has been working with. And Ryan Staub is not going out of his way. The thing that bothers me is the aggregation of this. The Yahoo Sports coming out of here, clipping a small part of it, and then trying to make it out to everything has to be about Coach Prime and his lack of leadership and his lack of coaching and all this stuff. It just gets so tiring. Every time I see something like this pop up on Twitter, I'm just like, oh, I know it's going to be something that they clip. And it's just, you have to, and as Coach Dre says, I was just about to get this. You have to watch the whole video. Tennessee is going to things. Look back with Madison, we got Seaton who's committed to them. We got Boo and Larry Johnson. They don't like us one bit. I totally get that. I get where you're coming from. That's actually wasn't what I was going to say, but I get where you're coming from. We did take Boo and Larry Johnson. They got Colton Hood, you know what I mean? And Ryan Staub and Isaiah Harge. I don't think this is a situation where Ryan Staub has gone to Tennessee and they've just implanted a bunch of terrible things about Colorado in his head. I think he's just going through the process of being complimentary of his new staff. We wish Ryan the best. I hope he ends up being the starter there. George McIntyre is in competition. I think they got a freshman too. So I hope he ends up getting the starting job and really balls out and we can have his graphic as he prepares for the NFL draft. I'm just saying, I wish him the best. But I don't think this is something about Coach Prime and how he coaches. Another one I wanted to touch on, switching gears. This came in from Keep It Real Buffs. This was back on March 4th, so I missed it. Again, we were out for a week, and then all the things happening with spring ball. But former Bowling Green wide receiver Jared Merck commits to Colorado, which is super cool. Let me go ahead and pull up his stats really quick. Another wide receiver, which is really cool to see. Adding to that deep wide receiver room. So Jared Merck, sophomore. I'm not sure if he's actually played. Okay, so he has one reception for 15 yards, as well as a couple of tackles on defense, probably some special teams, or just interceptions. That could be the inverse there. But 6'2", 190, kid from Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome to the team. We're happy to have you on board. I didn't know about this one, but pretty cool. Good for Jared and good for the recruiting staff. Okay, we're just cruising on through here. Happy Friday, 15 minutes in. Thank you guys for being here. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. We want you guys to be a part of this discussion. We got some fun stuff happening on the back half of today's show. Also, really quickly, I want to ping. I put a poll up on the Voice of College Football account page that we have. Let me know, do you guys like the Friday shows? Because I'm not set on doing it on Fridays. I mean, like, if it works for you because you guys got nothing else to do and you want to sit in and listen, great. Would you prefer that I move it to a Monday or a Sunday or a Saturday or a Wednesday? Just go on the page, go give me a response so I know when you guys want me to do this, and that way I can align it with your guys' schedule. So awesome. We got someone from St. Louis checking in. Nice to meet you. Happy to have you here. Thank you for tapping in. All right, moving on to the next one. This is another one. I just want to touch on it. I know it's old news. I know this is from weeks ago, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So Colorado has a new quarterbacks coach. Not necessarily a quarterbacks coach, but just working with Juju and the quarterbacks. I'm going to butcher the name. Haj Malik Williams, I think. I apologize if that's incorrect. But as Scobus Buff Boy says here, arguably one of the best QBs to run the go-go offense led UNLV to the Mountain West Championship game in a bowl appearance in 2024. So when Coach Marion was there, understands the go-go, understands how to be an effective quarterback in the go-go, and is now working with Colorado QBs to be able to make sure that they understand how to effectively run the system. I think this is great. I think this is super cool. I think it's great. It shows how much Coach Marion develops relationships with his players. I think it's really cool to see how he was able to go and find somebody who had so much success in this role, in this position, not too long ago, and get them to come, mentor our young quarterbacks who are going through the process of learning this new system. And if we look at his stats, right? So let me go ahead and grab those while I got this here. Okay. UNLV. So in his career, 10,000 yards, 77 touchdowns, 31 interceptions. Looking at 2024 alone, 150 out of 252, 59% completion rate, 1,900 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 9 touchdowns on the ground. So his most is, I guess, tied for his most rushing touchdowns, 19-5 TD to interception ratio, and a 145 QB rating. So it's just good to see. I think that all the respect to him in terms of his talent, and I do expect that Juju will most likely have a bit more on the passing yard totals, and maybe a little bit less on the QB runs in terms of touchdowns. But overall, it's just good to see them getting somebody similar to how I had talked about. It's good to have like Damian Henderson and Jose Soto in the room for the O-line and the RBs. It's good to have somebody who's played the go-go system and from a quarterback perspective and can teach it and instill the mindset into these young quarterbacks that we have. Graduate assistant from Georgia, knows Juju as well as Coach Marion. Very, very cool. Thank you, Coach Jay. Okay, cool. Next one on the list. Also, this one comes in from Buff Boy as well. Thank you, Buff Boy. Buff Boy gives great content. If you don't follow Buff Boy, so thank you for that. He went out and put out ranking the 2026 schedule from hardest opponent to easy opponent. We talked about this a little bit when the schedule released. But I just wanted to address it because I think it's just like a fun little topic, right? So from most difficult to least difficult, Texas Tech at the top, Utah, Georgia Tech, ASU, Houston, Northwestern, Kansas State, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, UCF, and Weber State. I'm going to work from, there's a couple outliers in here. I think Baylor is going to be good. I do. I as much as I'm not a believer of DJ Lagway at Florida, I'm a believer in DJ Lagway at Baylor. I'm also a fan of Draylon Miller. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. They have some other weapons on that team. I just think that Baylor is going to be better than people anticipate. I would say, again, Texas Tech is probably number one. That's fair to say. We've got Utah. We've got Georgia Tech. I think those are fair. ASU, we could probably swap Georgia Tech and ASU maybe. Houston is fair. Northwestern over Kansas State. I would probably put Baylor at like 6. Probably Kansas State at 7. Northwestern at 8. Oklahoma State's going to actually be pretty tough. So Oklahoma State, I would probably move up to maybe the 5 spot, maybe 4 or 5 spot. I think they're going to be pretty good. Cincinnati, I would actually drop into the 11 spot. I'd put UCF above Cincinnati. I do think Northwestern's going to be like, okay, they've got a lot that they're putting into that program, but I think Texas Tech, Utah, oh gosh, that's tough. Texas Tech, Utah, I'm going to put ASU above Georgia Tech, ASU, Georgia Tech, Baylor, Houston, Kansas State. Actually, no, sorry. Baylor, Oklahoma State, Houston, Kansas State, Northwestern, UCF, Cincinnati, Weber State. That's how I'm going to put it. Let me know if I'm crazy or if you guys disagree in the comments. I do appreciate Quiet Tea Love here saying enjoying the Friday show. Go vote on the poll. Let me know. I want to make this as effective for you guys as possible, but I do appreciate you letting me know off the top. Coach Dre says, Miles, I had DJ here in Gainesville at UF. If we can get a run pass rush and take away the run, we good against Baylor. I agree. I'm not saying that DJ Lagway is Fernando Mendoza. I'm just saying that I'm not sure that was a good situation for him. I don't think that was a good system for him. I do think he's going to have a better opportunity at Baylor. I think it's just, I don't know. It seems like to click for me a little bit, and I'm hoping it clicks for him. I do think the kid has a lot of talent. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be important for us to get a pass rush against all of the good quarterbacks that are in our conference. Cool. Last one on the list. I'm acknowledging it because I missed it and we didn't talk about it, but shout out to former Buff Cal Poly edge Victory Johnson. This says he's set to visit Arizona. He did commit to Arizona. He was playing in Cal Poly for the last 2 seasons, was an all Big Sky performer, and is now going to be in conference at Arizona. So shout out to him. Yeah, he's a great young man. Happy for him. I just like to cover when I see former Buffs landing in new spots. I did also see somebody had mentioned, I can't verify it, but somebody had told me that I'm going to share this. Kyle Carpenter had signed with NCA&T. I don't know if that's North Carolina or another NC, but evidently Kyle Carpenter ended up somewhere. So good for him. Whew. Okay, cool. Wow. I hate when that zooms in on me like that. It's such a... well, cool. Appreciate it. Happy Friday. We're 23 minutes in. Appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys commenting. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of the show. I want to talk about a fun concept. I came up with this a while ago, but I wanted to save it until there was an actual like down period, I guess you could say, or just like a break to do it. But I want to talk about pre-NIL era buffs. What would they be making? So we're talking about like legendary buffs, right? And this is the way I want to phrase this. And I want a lot of collaboration on this. I want you guys to tell me if I'm dead wrong or if you think that I'm forgetting guys or anything of that nature. I want to know, let's lay the groundwork here, right? So pre-NIL era buffs, right? And so the way I thought about this is like, I don't have all the high school stats for various Cordell Stewart. I don't have the high school stats for Deion Figures. You know what I mean? Like I don't have everybody's high school stats. So the way I'm going about this, I'm going to throw up some stats and I'm going to throw up just some general blurbs if they're like a line. And I want you guys to talk about the concept here is junior year going into senior year. They're in the transfer portal. What is their value? What are they getting offered? Okay. That's the barometer. They are juniors going into their senior year. They're in the transfer portal. I'm not saying it's because they want to leave CU. I'm just trying to use this as like a hypothetical. What are teams throwing at these players to get them to want to come to commit to their school? We on the same page about that? Good. Cool. So really quickly, I want to just touch on where I'm going to be kind of laying the baseline for this. First off, hold on. I closed out of a tab that I wanted. One of the things I wanted to look at, and there was an ESPN article, NIL value per position. So this is an article that was put out in August of 2025, so a couple months ago. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So college football 2025, how much does each position group cost? So this is where I'm kind of basing the baseline here is. And I know this is last year. We're going to say that, quarterback $1 to $2 million. We know that there are guys that got $3 to $5 million. So, but I'm just kind of using this as a rough ballpark. Running backs, 300,000 to 700,000. I know that there are backs that have gotten over $1 million. Wide receiver, same deal, 400 to 800,000. And this is for like top tier guys. Like this is how much they're getting coming out of high school. So just keep that in mind. Actually, sorry, not out of high school, in the portal. Tight ends, offensive tackles, 500 to 1 million, offensive guards and centers, 300 to 700,000, as well as edge rushers, $500,000 to $1 million. Defensive tackles, 300,000 to 800,000, and then linebackers at 200 to 500,000 seems low. I feel like it's a more important position than people give credit for. Cornerbacks, 300 to 800,000, and then 300,000 to 700,000. Eugene Kelly brings up a good point. If Colorado had Prime before NIL, the portal, let's say 2011 NIL started, Coach Prime could have built a really great team. I agree. Had he not had to deal with all the NIL stuff, I totally agree. At the same time, I'm curious to know if you guys think some of our other former head coaches would have done better in the NIL. Like, let's just say that Coach McCartney, right? Like, would he be able to navigate the NIL market, and like, would he have a good time with that, or would that be like the worst thing in the world for him to have to deal with? That's a question to have in part of this. But either way, I want to give you like the baseline for where I'm getting these numbers. Let's start talking about some names. So I'm just going to use. I'm going to share this screen. This is just the Wikipedia page for Colorado Buffaloes football statistical leaders, because I want to go kind of position group by position group. Not everybody's going to be on here, but I do want to at least use it as a reference point. And then I want to pull up. Hold on. We're going to start with. Cool. Let's start with actually. I'm going to go to Cordell Stewart first. So Cordell Stewart. Again, quarterback, played for the Buffs, a little bit of a kind of too early for his time, dual threat, runner, passer. We're looking at just his college stats. And again, the thought process here is 1993 going into 1994. So he leaves Colorado. He goes into the transfer portal market. He's, coming out of that season, 157 out of 294, 2,200 passing yards, 2,300 roughly, 11 touchdowns, as well as 126 passer rating. And then on the ground, 6 touchdowns, 524 yards. So in the transfer portal market today, what do you guys think that warrants? 2,200 passing yards, 11 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, with 6 touchdowns on the ground. I'm going to say that, I guess you could probably argue that, that's 11 touchdowns the prior season. Let me zoom in for you guys. Gosh, the freaking ads. Gosh, no ads. What on earth are we doing here? All right, there we go. Okay, cool. So 157 out of 294, 2,299 passing yards. Would you give Cordell Stewart in today's era 600,000, 700,000, 750? Somewhere between 500 and 750,000. Again, we're thinking like coming out of his first big season. I guess maybe not first big season. He had a good year before that. Kind of breaking onto the scene, dual threat quarterback, running threat. Again, a little bit early for his time. But I think a guy like this I think his stats would probably be better in today's college football landscape. But interesting. Coach Trey says 2.5 million. I'm not sure if you're saying that for somebody else. But Cordell Stewart, I could see like 750,000 maybe. Again, I'm not sure if he would. I'm trying to think about this in the sense of like, if you plopped Cordell Stewart from 1993 into today's NIL market, and he's competing with Sam Levitt and all the other and DJ Lagway, like how much do you pay Cordell Stewart to? Let's say Cordell Stewart's not on the Buffs, and you're trying to incentivize him to come to Colorado. How much are you paying Cordell Stewart? $2.5 million is a lot. I'm thinking more, maybe more of a like 750 to 1 million range. Okay. Let's talk about next guy on the list. Let's talk about Sefo Liufau. I'm trying to figure out how to do this screen share. Cephalufau, another buff legendary quarterback. Go ahead and share that screen again. Oh my gosh, the ads that this website runs. Okay. Jeez. The ads are everywhere. No free ads. All right. I'm sorry about that. Cool. So Cepho, we're looking at junior year going into senior year. So 212 out of 344, 62% completion, 2,400 yards, 9 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Prior year had 28 and 15, and 5 touchdowns on the ground. How much do you think Cepho would have warranted in this season? I mean, not the greatest year, but you might want to bank on the prior season having, 28 and 15, as well as no touchdowns on the ground. I think you could probably give Cepho 400,000, 500,000. I don't know. It's an interesting 9 to 6 is not. I guess I thought more in this range in terms of his sophomore year. Maybe he goes in the transfer portal after that year, and you've got maybe more in the like 600, 700,000 range. I'd be curious to know what you guys think on that. I don't want to share this for everybody, but I want to talk about a couple other names. Steven Montez. Steven Montez was like just before the NIL era. Let me pull up his stats just to have it. Steven Montez. I always forget it's not a V. Just Steven Montez. Is it a V? Steven Montez. Montez. Why is that not showing up? I don't know why it's not showing up on this app. Steven Montez. Let me just find it either way. One of my underrated quarterbacks. It is with a V. Okay, that's why I like that thing didn't show up. Okay, so Steven Montez, University of Colorado. Let's grab his stats in his career. Okay, so junior year going into senior year, played in all 12 games, 94 of 238. Passing statistics. Oh no, that's rushing. 94 rushing attempts for 238 yards. Okay, passing stats: 258 to 399, 19 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, 2849 passing yards. Steven Montez junior season, 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 2,849 passing yards. What does Steven Montez get in today's NIL market? Could he get 800,000? Would you offer Steven Montez if he was in the transfer portal and he needed a quarterback? Would you offer him 700,000? Would you offer him 500,000? How much? Let me know in the comments. How much would you give Steven Montez to join your team today? We take Steven Montez from 2018 with 19 touchdowns and 9 interceptions and 2,800 passing yards, and we plop him into today's market. And you're the head coach of Stanford. What are you giving Steven Montez to come play quarterback for you? Let me know in the comments. Probably put that in like 600,000 range, maybe 500,000, 600, maybe 700, somewhere between that 500 and 700,000 range. Again, I think that's not like starter money. I'm not sure that he would leave Colorado for a different starting opportunity and make more money in theory. But again, we're looking at that range of 1 to 2 million, talking about the 2025 valuation. So like an upper level starter, I think Steven Montez would garner like a 600 to 750,000 too. Other names I threw down: Joel Klatt, Coy Detmer. Let's look at Joel Klatt. I want to know what Joel Klatt's stats were. So Joel Klatt in Colorado. Wow, what a picture he had back in the day. Okay. Why did they not list his stats? There we go. Okay. So Joel Klatt, 2004. Passing stats. Let me go ahead and share this. Boop, bop, bam. There we go. Again, no ads, no free ads. Colorado junior quarterback, Joel Klatt, 216 passing attempts, 367 passing attempts, 216 completions, 2,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Not the best year. You might want to, if he was going to leave into the portal, maybe jump in that sophomore year, 21-10. Just trying to see if he has any. I don't want to get the ads in there. At this point, let's say he jumps after his sophomore season. 21-10, sophomore QB Joel Klatt. What is 21-10 with 2,600 yards get you as a sophomore QB coming out of Colorado? Joel Klatt. I would say that's like a 800,000 maybe. Like I think 21-10 as a sophomore coming out of Colorado would be like a pretty good quarterback to try to go after if you were looking for a starting QB at a big university. Like, let's say Oregon wanted Joel Klatt after a sophomore. You don't think they would have come calling with $800,000 trying to bring him over? And then let me get another name up there. Coy Detmer. Okay, Coy Detmer. Oh my gosh, Coy Detmer Jr. Jeez, time flies. Oh my goodness. Okay, Coy Detmer. Let me grab his stats. It's only going to show me the okay, 850,000. Okay, 850,000 for Joel Klatt. That's cool. I can't find Coy Detmer. We're going to skip Coy Detmer. Cool. So out of that bunch, if you're looking at those three, it sounds like Joel Klatt might have had the highest earning potential. But Cordell Stewart, again, like I think just early in his time, I think he probably could have, depending on the season, earned a little bit more than Joel Klatt or Montez or Cepho in any of those. Another name. This is going to be a fun one. Let's talk about a Buffs legend, 5'8", 190-pound running back, Phillip Lindsay. So Phillip Lindsay. Let's pick his best season to talk about when he, gets an opportunity to jump, quote unquote, in the transfer portal. So I mean, I'm not going to say his senior year, but we'll say his junior year. 244 attempts for 1,200 yards, 16 touchdowns that season on 9.3 yards a rush. So let's say Phillip Lindsay, junior Phillip Lindsay, after just rushing for 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns, enters the transfer portal, and he's in the transfer portal today. What are you giving Phillip Lindsay as a running back? Again, to give you a baseline, as of 2025, top end market for running backs was 300 and 700,000. I think Phillip Lindsay could garner 700,000. I think 16 touchdowns on 9 yards a rush. 5 yards a rush. That was as 9 yards as reception. Apologies. On 5 yards a carry, 16 touchdowns, 1,200 yards. I think Phillip Lindsay, 700,000, 750,000. Are you pushing higher? 650,000, Coach Dre says. I mean, 16 touchdowns. Imagine, I know there was the back out of Tulane who went to Oregon who had like 18 touchdowns in that season. I would put probably 750,000. I would confidently give Phillip Lindsay after that season 750,000 if I'm a big university. 16 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry, 1252 in terms of total rushing yards. That's crazy. A couple other names I wanted to talk about. Let's look at Eric Bieniemy. Okay, Eric Bieniemy. Let's talk about, again, we have to consider this is going to be his junior season. I think he's only played 8 games in his junior year. Let's do the sophomore season. So let's say he leaves after the sophomore season. I just want to get their best year that's not their senior year. 10 games, 219 yards, 1,200 yards, 219 attempts, 5.7 yards a carry, 10 touchdowns. So a little bit less, but 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. Same deal. I think that Eric Bieniemy could probably get 700,000. I think he could get maybe 600,000. I'm going to be more exact. I'm going to start throwing out exact numbers. I think Eric Bieniemy in his sophomore season would garner 710,000. I'm giving Phillip Lindsay 785,000 after his junior year. And again, these are all just speculative numbers. 700,000. Coach Dre agrees. I love that. Let's talk about Darian Hagan. If I can spell Darian right. Gosh, my keyboard. Darian Hagen. There we go. Cool. Not Darian Mensah. We didn't know what Darian Mensah is worth. Okay, so Darian Hagen, this is an interesting one. So arguably, probably his best season was, although the championship season, this is rushing and receiving. Rushed for 11 or I'm completely spacing on this. 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns in his sophomore season in 1989. As a passer, had 4 touchdowns on 85 attempts. So you probably argue that in his junior season, the year that they win the championship, 75 of 163, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, but only 5 touchdowns on the ground. I don't know which one you guys would consider to be more here or to consider to be better here. But better passing stats in the year they win the championship, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. If you had a quarterback today in today's market that went out and he's in the transfer portal and he has 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions passing and 17 touchdowns on the ground, how much are you giving that guy? Like, I don't even know where you even place that. It's a crazy breakdown of how this actually looks. But so that's technically 21 total touchdowns to 4 interceptions versus 11 passing to 8 interceptions with 5 on the ground. I'm going to put the championship season above the year with 17 touchdowns on the ground. But for a quarterback, Darian Hagen, coming off a championship season with 11-8 and 5 on the ground, $625,000. That's where I'm going to put that. And I know that might seem a little disrespectful, but I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm not taking the total impact in consideration on this. Because again, this is hypothetical. You think coming off a national championship would be at 1 to 2 million. I can see that. I can agree. If Fernando Mendoza had 11-8 with 5 touchdowns, does he garner 1 to 2 million? You tell me. That's part of the question. I think there is a value in stats nowadays. And again, the game is different. We understand that. But if Darian Hagen comes into the NIL market after winning a championship at 11-8, I could see, I said 625, maybe 725, maybe 810. I could see the championship experience being a big key there, but I think the stats would have a little bit of a differentiation. The Duke QB got $10 million from Miami. That's a good point. But I thought that was over a couple of years. Am I wrong on that? Was that $10 million for 1 year? Maybe it was $10 million for 1 year. I'm all screwed up in terms of where the numbers sit today. Let's talk about a couple other guys. Rashaan Salaam. Let's talk about Rashaan Salaam. That's a good one. Rashaan Salaam. Okay, Heisman recipient in 1994. So this is his junior season, so we can argue that you could potentially transfer out after this year. Crazy numbers, just nuts. 11 games, 2,000 yards, 298. Just 1 year, all he has left. Okay, good point. So yeah, maybe Darian Hagen can get over $1 million, maybe 1 to 2 million. All right, let's talk about Rashaan Salaam. So 2,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 yards a carry, 168 yards a game. I don't know if I was thinking that too, Dre. I'm I don't even know. This kind of breaks the scale in terms of the numbers that I would throw. If I'm an Oregon and I'm trying to poach Rashaan Salaam from Colorado today, I'm giving him a solid. I'm thinking 2. My point was 2 to 3. 3 to 5 is high, but I could totally see it. 24 touchdowns, man. I always forget how crazy that is. 298 attempts, 2,500 or 2,055 yards, 7 yards a rush. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it at 2.2 million, I think is where I would put Rashaan Salaam, because I don't know that there's been that many backs that have gotten that much money in today's market. But this is a crazy, crazy stat. Coming off a Heisman, if Genty didn't go to the league, how much does Genty get to leave Boise? Let me ask you that. I think Genty could get 1.5, maybe 1.8, maybe 2. I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like we haven't really had the opportunity for a back like that to hit the market. So it's a good question. Couple other names. If we want to, let's look at, I'm going to do this. This is a little bit easier because I can. Okay. Chris Brown is not going to pop up. That's fun. Okay. I got to find guys that are going to show up. Let me get, okay. Not here either. Hold on. Let's just skip to a newer guy. The Florida Gators running back at 1.2 million up front. Okay, cool. Coach Trey, I appreciate you. You give me the sometimes I miss the numbers. So if the Florida Gators running back ETN got, I think that's the one you're talking about, 1.2, then Rashawn Salam's getting definitely a solid 3 to 5. That makes way more sense. Again, I'm trying to base it off the numbers that were from a year ago, but it's crazy. Let's talk about a more recent buff. Laviska Shenault. Second round pick in the 2020 NFL draft. Laviska Shenault comes out after his junior season. Oh gosh, these ads, man. I got to get the ads out of here. How do I get the ads? Okay, cool. They go away. So let's take his sophomore season, Laviska Shenault. 9 games, 86 yards, 86 receptions, 1,011 yards, 11 yards of reception, 6 touchdowns in his receiving. I'm trying to figure out. I thought that he had higher numbers for some reason, but maybe not. Laviska Shenault, let's say he comes out after his sophomore year, 6 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 11 yards a reception, 112 a game in 9 games played. I think Laviska Shenault could 900,000, 850, 900,000. If I'm like way undervaluing these guys, please do let me know. But I think a 1,000-yard receiver, 6 touchdowns and 9 games played, that's pretty damn good. That equates to like what, almost 1,300, 1,400 if you played all 12 games. So he comes out, he's in the portal, 1,000-yard receiver, 6 touchdowns. I think you give Laviska Shenault 875,000, maybe 915, maybe pushing it. I think Laviska Shenault could definitely earn a good little paycheck. Cool. Let me know if you disagree. Let's talk about. Trying to see. I thought that I'm using a Sports Reference college football, and I thought that I could get all of these guys on there, but some of the older guys, Cliff Branch of the world, not available. Let's grab another one. I think. Wow, they don't. Okay, I am learning on the fly today that there are a bunch of guys that Sports Reference college football does not have a position for. Let's just throw out some names. Let's talk about Nelson Spruce. So Nelson Spruce, late 2000s, played for the Rams, 601, 205. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up on his Colorado page. All right, 2015. So yeah, late 2000s. In terms of his receiving statistics, there we go. That's what we want. So as a receiver, Nelson Spruce, we're going to take the junior year stats again. 1,100 yards, almost 1,200 yards, 106 receptions, 12 touchdowns. Now that's a guy that's like Danny Scudero kind of right there, right? So 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. Nelson Spruce in today's market. It's a good question. Good question that I asked myself. 825,000. I don't know if that's a little bit low, but 12 games. It's not Laviska in 118 yards a game type of territory. He's 99 yards a game. I'm thinking I'm giving him about 810, 815. Nelson Spruce, great player for the Buffs. Great career. Love that photo. 6'1", 205. But yeah, I think I'm giving Nelson Spruce about 815,000. maybe 875 if I got a good paycheck coming in. We'll talk about a couple O-line. We're not going to get any stats out of these, but Andre Gerard, David Bakhtiari, and Nate Solder. Nate Solder, I think, is where did Nate Solder get picked? Let me grab that information. Nate Solder got picked. I think he was first round, 17th overall. Nate Solder, offensive tackle. Let's say he comes out, he's in 2011 draft, first round pick. I mean, we're talking like Jordan Seaton type. I don't think that's that type of money, but a first round tackle, 17th overall pick. I think you're looking at 175, 1718, maybe 2, like a 6'8", 6'9", 316 offensive tackle, Big 12 offensive lineman of the year, first round projected pick. I think you're given probably a solid 1.7, 1.8. That's where I'm going to put that. I think Nate would earn a good chunk of change if he decided to hit the market. Let's talk about another. Let's talk about another offensive lineman, David Bakhtiari. He 4th round pick in 2013, 6'4", 315 offensive tackle. Second team All Pac-12. I'm going to say a 4th round pick offensive tackle. 650,000. 700,000? 700,000? Yeah, 4th round pick. Great player. I don't know if the junior season would have maybe a little bit higher, 700,000. I think that's fair. I'm trying to see if there's any other major stats here. For go to season, 2.5 quarterback sacks and only 1 pressure. I think you get like, let's look at those numbers again. Probably about low 8s, maybe. Sorry, high 8s, low 9s, 880, 910, something like that. I could give David that. I could see that. Okay, Andre Gerard. It's another one, another good name. Let me go pull up his. Again, keep me honest in the chat. Let me know if I'm way off on these. Coach Trey has done a great job with keeping me honest. Coach Trey, appreciate you always tapping in. Andre Gerard, 2nd round pick in 2002. So a 2nd round pick in today's world. 2nd round pick, 6'4", 320. 4-year starter, center, and guard. 2nd round pick. I think he's getting like a 1.1. I think Andre Gerard today is getting like a 1.1, 1.2. Second, 2-time first team All Big 12, consensus All American. I think you're getting like a 1.25. I think. I mean, if he hits the market as a top tier interior offensive lineman, maybe somewhere between $1 million and $1.2 million, like $1 million and 1.2. That's where I'm going to put that. Okay, let's talk about some linebackers. We've got, I put Chad Brown. I got Alfred Williams. I got Matt Russell on there. Let's get Chad Brown. Let's grab Chad Brown. Let's grab his, I'm trying to see if I can. I'm seeing his bio, but I'm not seeing his stats. Give me a quick second. Oh, hold on, it's still there. All right, Chad Brown. Was a 2nd round pick in the NFL draft, 44th overall. I'm trying to see if I can get his college stats. Hold on, let me grab college stats. I do apologize for kind of doing this always on the fly. That's the wrong Chad Brown. Oh my goodness. I'm all over the place. Same wrong Chad Brown. All right. Well, either way, let me hold on. Let me pull up the right one before I just keep clicking around on the internet here. Chad Brown. Wow, there's a lot of, I don't know why I'm so confused that there'd be a lot of Chad Browns in the world. I'm all over the place. All right. Can we have some stats? Nope, no stats there. Huh? Chad Brown? Stats? Pittsburgh? That's his professional stats. Why can I not find it? I thought that all of these were publicly available. Okay. Either way, Chad Brown, second round pick, linebacker. I think you're giving Chad Brown 750,000, 775,000, 795,000, just under that 800,000 mark. I think Chad Brown, I'm annoyed that there are no stats here, but it's all good. 4-year starter, 6'2", 240. So again, second round pick in 1993, was did a first team All Big 8 in 1992. Went on to have 1,000 tackles in his NFL career. I think you could get maybe like 8-10 for Chad Brown. If I'm Chad Brown, I'm probably commanding a pretty good market for myself. Let's look at Alfred Williams. Alfred Williams was a monster. Let me share my screen again. Just going through here. What does Alfred Williams garner in today's market? You have a national champion. You've got a unanimous All-American. You've got a consensus All-American. You've got 2x Big 8 Defensive Player of the Year. You've got two times first team All Big 8. You've got a first round 18th overall pick, defensive end. I think this is a $2 to $3 million range. I think like this is the equivalent if David Bailey hit the market today. Like, what do you think David Bailey warrants if he's coming out of Texas Tech? I think I'm looking at like $2.5 million. I know linebackers are not, according to the numbers that we saw before, are not paid the most every time. But I think Alfred Williams is somebody that, again, just absolute defensive monster. I'm giving him a solid 2.1. 2.14. That's where I'm going to put that. I'm giving Alfred Williams 2.14. Okay, last one I want to put on for this. Let's grab Matt Russell. See what Matt Russell would be. Okay, I'll share this tab. Matt Russell, 6'2", 245, 4th round pick, 130th overall. He's now obviously has a lot of coaching and operations roles in the NFL, but first team All Big 12, first team All Big 8, third team All-American, consensus All-American in 1996, and the Butkus Award winner. Again, another guy I think like probably you're looking at 1.6, 1.4. I think Matt Russell would be highly coveted if he hit the market. All conference honors during both of his final 2 seasons with the Buffaloes, recognized as a consensus first team All-American, Butkus Award winner after 137 tackles. I think you're giving Matt Russell like 1.4. I'm going to say 1.43. That's why I'm giving Matt Russell in terms of his today's market if he hits the transfer portal. Let's check out our good friend that we couldn't get before. Let's look at Deion Figures. First Deion in Colorado. All right, so first round pick, 23rd overall, Colorado legend. I'm trying to see 10 games, intercepted 2 passes against Iowa State, did not qualify. That's his career numbers, 67 unassisted tackles, intercepted his second pass. Trying to see if there's anything else here. Big 8 coaches were well aware. So first team All Big 8, second team All Big 8, Big 8 Defensive Player of the Year, consensus All-American, Jim Thorpe Award, Jack Tatum Trophy, National Championship. Deion Figures. I think Deion Figures gets. Look back at that number market I was trying to see before. Cornerbacks 300,000. I think you can give Deion Figures a cool 1.15 mil. I think you could give Deion Figures a good chunk of change. Like we're talking Caleb Downs type of money, 1.5 maybe, 1.54. I don't know, just throwing random numbers out there at this point. Deion Figures, I think, would garner a good chunk of change if he was in today's transfer portal world. 6 foot, 200 pounds, first overall pick. I mean, this is like D'Angelo Pons, now our guy Colton Hood. Like, what would you throw at them? That's a good question. Probably like at a minimum, we're talking 800,000, at least in my perspective. Donald Strickland. It's good. Another name I wrote down. Donald Strickland, just before the NIL era. Donald Strickland, 3rd round pick, 90th overall, was a second team All Big 12 in 2002. He had 78 tackles, 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns, 86 tackles, 1 interception, 95 yards for a touchdown. I think a little bit lower. I think Donald Strickland's like a 650, maybe 700,000 type of guy. Still a great buff, 3rd round pick, 90th overall. Second team All Big 12 is nothing to scoff at. 5'10", 185. I think you give him a solid 675,000. I think. Just, again, random guess. Last ones I put on here. I put our guy, Dick Anderson. Not Dick Anderson Construction, but Dick Anderson. Okay. Dick Anderson was a 3rd round pick in 1968, 73rd overall. Trying to see if I can get his college career. Consensus first team All-American in his Caesar season. School record with 14 career interceptions. 14 career interceptions. Consensus All-American in 1967. First team All Big 8. Most passes, that's in the NFL. Most passes intercepted in a single game with 4. I'm pretty sure he holds various Colorado records as well. I wish I could find that. But Dick Anderson, I think Dick Anderson would 14 career interceptions. Even if you run that over 4 years, that's 3 interceptions a year. I think you could probably give Dick Anderson, Boulder High School legend, 900,000, 900,000, 925,000, 930,000. That's where I'm going to put that, 930,000. And then lastly, our guy, big, Colorado legend, thought he was going to be the special teams coach for a little bit there. Doesn't end up happening. Mason Crosby. Mason Crosby, a 6th round kicker pick, which is awesome. Super Bowl champion, 2-team first team All-American, 3 times first team All Big 12. What are you giving Mason Crosby in today's market? I think Mason Crosby. I'm trying to see if there's even a market for. I don't even know. What do you give Mason Crosby? What do you give if you're trying to get a kicker? What do you give Mason Crosby in today's market? That's what I want to know. If you're like a Alabama or an Oregon and you need a kicker bad, and Mason Crosby is in the transfer portal, what are you giving Mason Crosby? I see a whole bunch of people came in kind of last minute here, so I appreciate you guys tapping in. Let me know in the comments. Come hop into the YouTube and let me know in the comments, what is Mason Crosby getting in today's in today's NCAA transfer portal? That's a question that I'd be curious to know. Okay, we are just over an hour in. For anyone who's joining the show late, we've covered lots of all-time great buffs, from Cordell Stewart to Philip Lindsay to Rashawn Salam to Nelson Spruce. You just talk about where they would get from an NIL valuation market. I think the biggest one is Rashawn Salam. Like, imagine if Rashawn Salam hit the transfer portal market after his Heisman season, 24 touchdowns, 2,000 yards. Like, that's crazy. That's such a Coach Trey had said 3 to 5 million, and I honestly don't even think that that's that nuts now that I think about it more. But if you guys are watching on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, on wherever, come let me know in the comments what you guys think. I would really appreciate it. I will take a step back too as well and just say happy Friday. Thank you again for being here with me as always. I will remind you, I did put a poll up on the Colorado Voice of College Football Network Twitter. I keep saying X and Twitter. I don't really care. Let me know when you want me to do this show. I've been doing it on Fridays. Manny is kind of taking a step away a little bit to focus on some things he has going on in his personal life. So I'm going to be kind of running the show here for a little bit until he's available to come back on. But let me know. Put it in the poll. Do you want early week? Do you want late week? Do you want weekends? Like when can I do this? I also want to hear from you. Please hit my DMs on X. I want to know what topics you want me to cover. I'm thinking about next week doing a more of a recruiting update. Taking a look at where the recruiting has been sitting. There's been a lot of offers going out. I can't cover all of them at once, but I want to give you guys just like a fun breath of fresh air and kind of look at where some of these former buffs would sit in terms of NIL valuation. Okay, cool. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Just let me know what you guys are thinking. I appreciate you being here. I want to kind of just switch gears here. If anybody's still listening, if anybody's still paying attention, let's just do like a quick Q&A. I'm going to go a little bit longer here, probably go another like 8 minutes, still 6:45. But let's just talk buffs. What questions do you have? I know there's been a couple of people in the comments today, and I do appreciate you guys for tapping in. But let's have a Q&A. If you have any questions at all, I want to talk about it. I want to hear it. Let me see if there's anything going on X while I'm waiting for anyone to tap in. Oh my gosh, I can see my own video. That's crazy. I'm watching myself on X while this is going on. Okay, well, nothing crazy there. Well, if anybody has no comments, I might as well just kind of wrap this up unless there's anything anybody wants to talk about. I do think Colorado Buffaloes are going to have a good season. I do. The more I've sat on it, I did want to acknowledge quickly that in my video last week for spring ball that got clipped a couple of times in the videos, I didn't mention DeAndre Moore or Quentin Gibson. They have not been really a part of spring ball, and that's because they're injured. And that is by design. I did not mention them because they are not in the clips that I was watching. But DeAndre Moore and Quentin Gibson will be major contributors to the overall development of this team and the record that we ultimately end up getting. So I'll give you a couple more minutes here. If anybody has any questions at all, let me know. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. Happy Friday. If you didn't get a chance to test the show, it is going to be cut up into various clips throughout the week, as well as will be put as a podcast on Spotify, Amazon, Believe, all the various platforms. So with that, unless anybody has any questions, throw them in the comments now. Forever hold your peace. Anybody have any questions? Q&A, open discussion. This is the voice of college football. I want to hear from you guys. Give it another minute or two. I need 3 drinks of water because I talked too much during this. All right, no questions. I am going to wrap this up then. Appreciate you guys being here. Happy Friday. Let me know if there's anything you want me to change about the timing of the show or just some of the content. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you very soon. Let's go Buffs, baby!